2016 has been a great year for university research projects that not only engage with the public through the fieldwork that helps deliver them, but also makes a tangible difference to the lives of real people up and down the country. In the second of the biannual Engage Awards, organised and run by the National Coordinating Centre for Public Engagement, 18 varied, inspiring and significant projects spanning 6 categories were nominated at the NCCPE's 2-day Public Engagement Conference in Bristol. The Engage Conference looked at how higher education can continue to work with external partners to deliver successful research, and the nominees discovered at the award ceremony held on the first evening whether their project had won. When it comes to engaging with young people, one of the nominated projects that caught the imagination of both the participants and the Engage Award judges was Little Voices Shouting Out, an initiative run by the Wales Observatory at Swansea University which empowered young people to make an impact on the human rights of the child. The project was a runner-up in the Engaging with Young People category, and after the awards I caught up with the university's Jane Williams, Arwyn Roberts and project lead Helen Dale, and I began our conversation by asking Helen to explain more about the project.
We support children aged 7 to 11 across Wales to conduct research based on issues they feel are important to them, want to change or campaign about, linked to the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. And
what does that actually involve? In practical terms, what did you do? Who's the best person to answer that? You, Arwyn?
Yeah, we start off teaching them about the UNCRC, the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, about research. They get to choose their topic, vote or whatever, argue or vote about whatever they want to choose, and we show them research methods so they can ask if it's pupils in their school, or it could be people within their community that they want to ask, and we show them how to sort out the graphs and sort out their data and how to show it to people who might be able to do something about it, so decision makers that might be able to help them achieve their goals.
So how do you go about choosing which children are involved? What's that process?
So we cover 22 local authorities in South Wales over a 3-year basis, funded by the lottery. So we pick local authorities that we seek to work in, send out generic emails to all primary schools in that local authority, and it's first come, first serve.
And how many children were involved in it in the end?
So on an annual basis, we work with 24 schools, 8 children per project.
Okay, and you had a bit of a milestone about a year ago, didn't you? Wasn't it the first time the children had presented their findings to the UN? Mm-hmm. Tell me about that. That's amazing.
Well, as a matter of fact, the UN Human Rights Treaty monitoring system has been going for a long time, as long as there have been human rights treaties, and the Convention on the Rights of the Child, there's a committee called the Committee on the Rights of the Child, and it's had youth reports before, so typically 11 plus, the sort of age of children and young people who might be on youth forums, youth parliaments and so forth. But this was the global first child-led report, that is to say generated by the children choosing their own issues within the framework of the UNCRC. For children under 11. Okay, so children as young as 7 had fed into the recommendations that into the research and the recommendations that went to the UN committee, and so that was quite a milestone, and it very much impressed the members of the committee. I was there in Geneva with a young person representing this report, and also the older children's reports, and it certainly did make its mark and produce some recommendations coming back from the committee directed at the UK government and the Welsh government.
So tell me a bit more about those.
Well, specifically they were things around how teachers ought to have included in their initial training, and how parents should be offered training and education in human rights and children's rights. And the children had some brilliant ideas about what forms that might take. For example, children participating with adults to generate literature. Some of this fed back from the committee to the government. And then there was a lovely one that was came from the children about smoking around play places in parks and this kind of thing. And that produced a specific recommendation as well. Yeah.
And how does it work on a day-to-day basis then? I mean, you train these children to do their research, how to do it, so that it's got integrity and it's viable research. But on a day-to-day basis, what were they doing?
So we've developed a staged approach. So it tends to be over 6 to 8 to 10 sessions covering different themes. So it's topic exploration, research methods, conducting their research analysis and recommendations, and kind of public engagement activity to share their work. So we tend to see schools on a fortnightly basis, 2 to 3 hours, participatory activities, decisions made in each session around what the children want, basically.
Oh, okay. So the children sort of get to decide the agenda.
They decide everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
Wow, that sounds dangerous to me.
Well, it's supported. They're deciding everything, but within a framework. Obviously, within a safe framework. Autonomous, yes, but on the basis that we're helping them to exercise their capacity within a framework. It's not kind of they just pick whatever they want to do, because it's within the framework of the Children's Rights Convention.
Of course.
This is very, very broad, but it does mean that they're not doing consumer research into the best Xbox, for example. We are talking about public policy, public health, safety, environmental issues, bound to be because of the parameters.
They have looked into the ages. They have looked into the ages of games and appropriateness of games, how easy it is for children to get games that are too old for them and things like that. And they also, and the same group also thought there were things that they should be allowed to watch, even though they're supposed to be too young and things like that.
Some topics that the children have researched over the years vary widely, to making local changes to their local park, environment-based issues, down to more education about children's rights, opening a mountain for access to the area, mountain schools, organ donation, smoking, homelessness fundraising, image and identity, politics.
Because as a parent, not a very good one, but as a parent, what I've found with my kids is if you give them responsibility, they actually rise to the occasion. They take it and they use it well. And you're nodding, so I'm assuming that that's been your experience as well.
Yeah. Sometimes when we talk about doing research with children, people question their capacity. However, give them the task and they will do it. And we see the value of the children feeling that they are members of society and actual members of the public, that they can engage in decisions that affect their lives.
And the amazing thing about this project is, how many children have you worked with so far? Rough figure?
Well, you two over the year now, thousands. And this particular project, in the 2 years, you've had getting on for 500 as direct researchers in the groups, isn't it? But then engaging, sometimes with the whole school, sometimes with wider community, certainly thousands as broader research participants.
But 500 is directly involved.
Yeah.
So that's 500 kids in South Wales who...
The whole of Wales.
The whole of Wales. Okay, so 500 kids in the whole of Wales who potentially have changed the lives of children all over the world.
Potentially.
Yeah. Potentially.
Yeah. It could be anything from, in terms of those recommendations going to the committee, absolutely. But
that's an amazing legacy, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Something to be proud of.
I would say so. I'd say it's more than to be proud of. That's amazing.
And maybe the most significant thing is that those 500 children and those children who know about what those 500 children have done realise that they can do this stuff, that they begin to realise that there are places they can go with their ideas and ways of going to those places with help from the right sort of adults in order to engage in more age-inclusive processes for change. So that's the thing, we sort of want to move more, not only to develop the capacity of the children now, but also to be working on the adults as well, because not all adults know how to engage with children just as much as...
Yeah. Certainly true. But do the children understand just the impact and the effect and contribution they've made? Do you think they fully understand the scale of what they're doing?
It's a hard one to answer.
Yes, we have. We've had like celebratory events. We had one last year in both the universities, and I think they enjoy that. I think just being able to sit down with adults, just listening to them and taking their points on board. I think they get an awful lot of they get a good sense of achievement from that and from being treated as equals.
And what next for the project?
Developing funding bids to continue working with children as researchers, but more broadly with children up to the age of 18 and also who are in more vulnerable situations, who need their voice heard more.